Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatyam Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtrahisha Bhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakta Bhavati Nashti Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnanachanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Parshadale Shatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurataji Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Raptakanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishnu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 4, chapter number 9, and we will be reading from text number 50 onwards. I have already revised the discussion so far. So now Dhruva Maharaj is returning back to his kingdom. And last we discussed yesterday was how the devotee of the Lord eventually, in the beginning, he may face difficulty or challenges from his family members, relatives, and whatnot, but eventually all the family members begin to accept or appreciate. And that's what we saw Suruchi, who was a little envious of Dhruva in the beginning. Now, when Dhruva comes back, she's entirely transformed. Earlier, she said, "May you die and take birth from my womb to get this privilege to sit on the throne or the lap of the Father." Now she's saying, "Dhruva, may you long live." So that was the transfer. You talked about it. So, text number 50. We'll read this verse, then we'll continue with the storyline. So, those of you, you can take it out in your mobile or something. Check it. Vaiyasthanabhaya sushrav nitra jay shalile shivahe tadabhi sicchamanabhyam veera veera suvo. So yeah, that's an interesting verse. So here, veer suvo. So translation: My dear Vidura, Suniti was the mother of a great hero. Her tears, together with the milk flowing from her breasts, wet the whole body of Dhruva Maharaj. This was a great auspicious sign. So Prabhupada's focus on the purpose is largely on the word Veer Suvo. Veer Suvo, a great hero. And then Prabhupada describes what does it mean to be a great hero. Reading the last 4 lines of the prophets. A devotee is also a great hero because he conquers the influence of Maya. When Lord Chaitanya inquired from Ramananda Rai about the most famous man in the world, Ramananda Rai replied that anyone who is known as a great devotee of the Lord is to be accepted the most famous. And what could be the other reason why a devotee is said to be a hero? How many of you wanted to become a hero? Raise your hand. Those who are not raising the hand, they have not understood the question only. You came to this world only to become a hero because you became envious of Krishna and you wanted to be a hero. So the idea of being a hero means the one who can conquer or defeat Maya is a hero. One who can tolerate the provoking situation given by Maya is a hero. That's the definition. As you see, read about in Upadeshamrita as Goswami. Or as in Bhagavad Gita, the word Mahatma, the great personality, the one who can control his senses and mind and who is a great devotee of the Lord. So alright, that's been described here. And now in the following verses, the residents of the city, they are glorifying the queen, who? Suniti. And they say, dear queen, your beloved son was lost a long time ago, and it is your great fortune that now he has come back. It appears that your son will be able to protect you for a very long time and will put an end to all your material things. And like that, they will continue to glorify in the next verse also. And text number 53, Maitreya Muni says, my dear Vidura, when everyone was thus praising Dhruva Maharaj, the king was very happy. And he had Dhruva and his brothers seated on the back of the she-elephant. And thus he returned to his capital where he was praised by all classes of men. So from text number 54 to text number 59, the welcome of Dhruva Maharaj along with the opulences of palace are being described. Opulence of palace will be described later on. So here in the following verses, Dhruva Maharaj, the long lost son of Uttanapad, is coming back. How the city was decorated has been described. We'll read it, just quickly go through the translation and do compare with this idea when it is being taught to us in the schools that our ancestors were from Stone Age era. Today we are living in a modern advanced society. So if you consider 2 BHK and 3 BHK as an advancement of life, then do compare with what was the advancement or the culture of living at the time of Uttanapad, which is Satya Yuga. Prabhupada's text number 54, the whole city was decorated with columns of banana tree containing bunches of fruits and flowers. Betel nut trees with leaves and branches were seen here and there. There are also many gates set up which were structured to give the appearances of Shad. So what you need to pay attention is when you talk about this decoration, move forward. I would request that the corner can be left. You have space here, you have space in front of the camera. Can we please speak? A lot of devotees are there to become difficult. So what are we talking about? So I want direct, huh? Okay, fine. Chinese made. 1 and 5, no between. Alright. So just gonna read through these verses, translation, and I want you to pay attention to how we do decoration today in comparison to the decoration described here that would happen at the time of Satya Yuga. Text number 55. At each and every gate there were burning lamps, big water pots decorated with differently colored cloth, strings of pearls, flower garlands, and hanging mango leaves. In the capital city there were many palaces, city gates, and surrounding walls, which were already very, very beautiful. And on this occasion, all of them were decorated with golden ornaments. The domes of the city palaces glittered, as did the domes of the beautiful airplanes which hovered over the city. There is no mention of any plastic decoration, paper decoration. And now there's a discussion about airplanes. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when Uttanapad was bringing Dhruva Maharaj back, even the denizens of heaven, they had come to welcome Dhruva Maharaj. So it was their planes which were hovering over the city. And they were there to welcome Dhruva Maharaj. And there were a lot of gold around with the golden ornaments. One thing you notice, there is no reference of high-rise apartments. we call modern day nest. Earlier nest used to be on trees, and now the nest is there is a high-rise building. Text number 47. All the quadrangles, lanes, and streets in the city and the raised sitting places of the crossings were thoroughly cleansed and sprinkled with sandalwood water. Auspicious grains such as rice and barley, flowers, fruits, and many other auspicious presentations are scattered all over the city. And finally, this is the last verse about welcoming Durga, and then following verses we talk about the opulence of the palace. Thus, as Dhruva Maharaj passed on the road from every place in the neighborhood, all the gentle household ladies assembled to see him. And out of maternal affection, they offered their blessings, showering him with white mustard seed, barley, curd, water, newly grown grass, fruits, flowers. In this way, Dhruva Maharaj, while hearing the praising songs sung by the ladies, entered the palace of his father. Any thoughts and reflections on what we have discussed so far, or what we just read so far, about how Dhruva Maharaj was welcomed? What can we learn about welcoming devotees? What can we learn about welcoming the Lord, or celebrating, let's say, Appearance Day of the Lord? It's all about celebration, right? What can we learn about it? Any thoughts? Do we have the mic?
Hare Krishna. So by Kirtan and sprinkling flowers. And
okay, by Kirtan, having Kirtans, flower decoration, welcoming with flowers, up to that level of welcoming with flowers, this was certain category of devotees. Okay, what else? What can you learn from this, what we have read so far? Yes, Shishnath. In our context, what can we do? What do we learn?
This much detail-oriented decoration can only be done when actually that person who is receiving is happy to receive. So at least we can be happy to receive that guest.
Okay, so we should be happy to receive.
Yes,
all right,
with the smiles.
So what to do next?
You are saying at our context, everyone cannot be involved in decoration service only, but they can be involved in different services. But when we are receiving it, actually we can be present, we can be receiving them.
Welcoming them when they come. Okay, at least senior Vaishnavas, we're talking a lot, be there to welcome them. Okay, with a smile on her face. Once Mother Malti was making an announcement, we were about to go for Rath Yatra, the first Rath Yatra in Columbus. And the temple president said, well, there is a very important announcement, everyone please come inside. Everyone went inside. Okay, Mother Malti is going to make a very important announcement. I hope you know Mother Malti, Prabhupada disciple. And Mother Malti said, for God's sake, when you go out, please have a smile on your face. If you would not be smiling, how would people will smile looking at you and feel like there is a celebration? Don't have this grumpy face. Grumpy devotees don't look nice with that. Okay, what else?
We basically make it as grand as possible.
Make it as grand. Even if it's not possible because financially we may not have that. What is the minimal thing we need to do? Yes. Go ahead, Kulipur. तुम लोग बाहर आ जाओ, you guys can come forward.
प्रभु अगर कोई ऐसे कि ग्रैंड सेलिब्रेशन कोई अगर लाइक हम लोग कोई महाराज को वेलकम करते हैं तो पहले डेकोरेशन वगैरह तो है ही है, उसके अलावा भी क्लीनिंग मेन थिंग है कि क्लीनिंग पूरा क्लीन होना चाहिए, जहाँ पे बैठ रहे हैं, जहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, वॉशरूम वगैरह हर चीज क्लीन होना चाहिए. बेसिक थिंग वी कैन डू.
Even the dirty things we call it okay or fine, and there's hardly any attempts to improve on the cleanliness standard. So this is something at least those on Brahmacharya ashram we should try. Of course, there is a personal hygiene, then our room, and then at least one thing that we all can commonly share is the temple hall. That we should try to maintain. Rooms and all that is part of our personal hygiene, but ashram, this temple hall represents our culture, so we should try to maintain it as clean as possible. And we can always think of ways of improving it. So if things are clean, you'll always read about this when Krishna returns back to Dwarka or anything, you'll see how they will water the whole place and then add scent, perfume. So if you remember in those days in Blue Ridge when we used to have an evening program, Remember, many times we'll have this whole water thrown on the floor and wipe it off, all intense cleaning. And despite that whole floor has been mopped and broomed and whatnot, the moment you throw water and then wipe, then you will see so many things will come out. There's a particular thing, of course, we never could do it again, and I have now asked because of the tires, but in Tower 30 we used to do it often. And then, if anyone remember, I would ask one of you, go and put that incense right in the building. When people enter, they should feel like some smoke, some incense. They should feel like there's a nice smell. So these all these becomes a part of the details that you are really happy and you are in the mood of receiving the guest. What would it indicate? You're there doing a kirtan. You have a big smile on your face, but the guest enters. The doormat is dirty. The entry passage itself is dirty. There is a strange smell is coming. And with a big smile on your face, Hari Bol Prabhu, thank you for coming. What does it indicate? What would it indicate? I mean, there is no genuineness in welcoming the guest. It would indicate a lot of laziness. We just wanted to do some shortcut thing and welcome, but we are not really taking care of it. So I had this when Bhakti Tirth Maharaj used to go to anyone's house. Many of them are really cleanliness conscious. So his name is Giriraj Maharaj also. He was quoting about Bhakti Tirth Maharaj. He told him, so what will happen? Now we understand the cleanliness thing. So devotees will often clean the room where Maharaj is going to stay, the temple hall, where Maharaj is move around and all that. And everything else they'll hide behind. So first Giriraj Maharaj was saying, so Bhakti Tirth Maharaj, what he would do when he will go out to anyone's house to stay there, the first thing he'll go to the washroom and he'll see how clean is the washroom. If the washroom is clean, then he would say everything else is clean. If the washroom is empty, he would say everything is dirty. So once Giriraj Maharaj was coming and I was supposed to take care of his accommodation, so I will make sure the bathroom is the cleanest. So I tried, I did all that. And America, those window blinders, I guess over here we also have it. So I cleaned the room, everything was good, everything was fine, everything went on smooth. Maharaj came, went on the first floor, sat down, the whole staircase was clean. I had dry clean, wiper, carpet, Maharaj sat in the room, he looked around, everything was okay, and suddenly his eyes went on those blinders. And to my utter shock and surprise, he went, took his finger, put behind the blinder, and did like this, zoom, and then came off the dirt. And then he asked, who cleaned the room? And until then I was thinking, Maharaj will say, how nicely somebody has cleaned the room. I said, I don't know who cleaned the room. And this was the least expected, that he will go and put this. Who's going to look at that side? That's always covered like this. Like, oh my goodness. I mean, this is the way we learn. Otherwise, we all have certain amount of laziness. Then I learned my lesson, always look at those places also which are not visible. Because that is a sign of your eagerness to welcome. Your smile, your dance, those are show. But actual eagerness is how you clean the place. How you prepare the place for that person. That represents your conscious or eagerness actually to welcome. So, yeah. So about cleanliness, you'll see that often being repeated. I mean, otherwise you can say, what's the point? The Maharaj is coming, it's a main road. Main road anyways is dirty. Just for 5 minutes you're going to walk through from there. And that too is not walking. He's sitting on the top of the elephant. His feet is not going to get dirty. Why to make so much effort? A question can be asked. But this is not the part of culture. Again, this represents laziness. The part of culture is when we actually want to welcome somebody, we would make it neat and clean so that the person feels happy. Because that affects the environment there. So that's the point. So text number 61. So text number 60 talks about how the Maharaj lived in his father's palace, being cared by him and whatnot. And text number 61 begins to talk about the opulence. The bedding in the palace was as white as a foam of milk and was very soft. The bed seats were made of ivory with embellishments of gold, and the chairs, benches, and the sitting places and the furniture were all made of gold. Itna sona. When was the last time you saw gold? When was the last time any one of you here saw gold? Nobody wears these days gold rings, gold, what do you call as necklace or whatever, chain, nothing, right? So only time for you might see at the time of your marriage, but that too will be plastic gold. You know? Am I correct, right, brother? These days brides don't, what do you call it, plastic gold? Imitation jewelry, right? I don't know, but something how they make it like that. So even the bride is not decorated with actual gold. So that's our advancement. This is our richness. We are becoming, our GDP is growing. We are the fourth largest economy now. But there's hardly any gold. And here there are the furniture made up of gold. I made this point before also. Prabhupada in another class was saying our culture is all about cleanliness. So this much you would also recognize when you eat in pattal. You don't wash it, reuse it, right? At least this much rich we are. That we eat in pattal and discard the pattal. Now, better than that, quality, which could be more expensive, is the mud containers. So you eat in a mud container, and the culture was discarded. If you don't know another thing, but you can read about Chaitanya Leela. When they would eat it, they'll discard it. Better than that are the gold utensils. Prabhupada says in one of the lecture, in those days, when the royalty would eat, they'll eat once and discard. Now, for you and I, it's unimaginable. This is Prabhupada's words. They'll eat once in the gold container and discard. So, in a day, 3 plates per person were going out. None of the IT fellow would have to work. They just have to find a way to pick up those gold plates. So Prabhupada was explaining that how this was opulence and what we are. And Prabhupada will speak about it in this next verse also. The palace of the king was surrounded by walls made of marble with many engravings, made of valuable jewels like sapphires, which depicted beautiful women with shining jewel lamps in their hands. So generally we understand things when we have an experience. So I gave an example of paper plate, mud plate, you can understand. Gold plate, we have not have any experience of it, so at least we can understand that. Now, how do we understand these palaces decorated with gold, diamonds, sapphires, and whatnot? The walls and columns were decorated like this. So I remember my mother used to tell me when I was growing up, this Red Fort and other palaces in India, their walls were all decorated with diamonds and gold ornaments. So when Britishers, they were going back, they kind of plucked all those jewels from these walls and they took away. And she used to tell me, if you go to them, you'll see them empty spots now. And the same thing I was surprised to read in the Prabhupada writes in the second paragraph. Prabhupada says here, second paragraph, middle of the second paragraph. It can be calculated that the Rama lived many millions of years ago, right? There were walls like those in the palace of Maharaj Uttanapad, even very recently during the Mughal period. Anyone who has seen the Red Fort in Delhi, come forward, must have marked the walls are made of marble and were once decorated with jewels. During the British period, all these jewels were taken away and dispatched to the British Museum. So up to recently, the walls used to be decorated with expensive diamonds and gold and whatnot. Now if you go back further, then you can imagine what is mentioned here. And now you compare with today, that's unimaginable. That's just, people don't even have it in the, what do you call, bank vault. Hardly any jewelry is there. And then Prabhupada describes what's the conception of worldly opulence. Very important. The conception of worldly opulence was formerly based on natural resources such as jewels, marble, silk, ivory, gold, and silver. When Srila Prabhupada was visiting a particular country, he came out of the airport and there was a Cadillac waiting for Prabhupada. Brand new Cadillac. Very expensive car. And reporter came to Prabhupada. Swamiji, how do you feel your students have brought a brand new Cadillac for you to sit in? What was that? Okay. It sound coming from the stomach. I said, Guru, what happened? Okay, what was I saying? So he said, Swamiji, how do you feel your students have brought a brand new Cadillac to receive you? Prabhupada said, what a big deal. They should have bought a car made of gold. What is a tin car? What is the value of this tin car? Now, please understand what's the idea here. And this is something very important for us to get into that. Otherwise, somewhere we have this confidence in the current society that we are doing fine. It was not that Prabhupada was prepared for this answer. Was, hey, what is the value of this tin car? Gold car, I would have considered. Because that was an opulence, and today we hardly have that opulence. And little things, we consider it so, little things we become so attached to. I'll give an example. I can quote the name. Sri Guru Chandu, those days, 15, 20 years ago. So he had assisted in building up one of the voices. This is somewhere in late 90s, early 2000. And this was one of the first voice in Pune which was built. They kind of, devotees built it like that, spent money. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was visiting Pune, and he was taken to this particular voice youth center. So Shri Guru Chandu then asked, Maharaj, we did so much hard work. We built the first youth center of Pune, and I feel they have become very attached. How to continue performing your service and not get attached? Maharaj looked at all of that place, and Maharaj said, what is there to get attached to this small place? What is there to get attached to? The walls were not even painted then. They were really like a ghost house. I said, what is there to get attached to? So it's all about perceptions. It's all about perceptions. And our perceptions need to change. Our perceptions are rooted like we are living in an advanced society. My little earning is a lot of wealth. My little 10 items are very opulent, etc., etc. But look at the opulence that Prabhupada is talking about here. Natural resources such as jewels, marble, silk, ivory, gold, and silver. I don't think so we have seen any of it except for marble. I don't know what marble used to be there now. The advancement of economic development was not based on big motor cars. Advancement of human civilization depends not on industrial enterprises, but on possession of natural wealth and natural food, which is all supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that we may save time for self-realization and success in the human form of body. Like this. Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph, from the description of Srimad Bhagavatam, you guys feeling hot? You can increase the speed of the fan. The windows are closed for other noise. From the description of Srimad Bhagavatam, therefore, we can make a very thorough comparative study of modern civilization and the civilization of mankind in other millenniums, Satya, Treta, and Dwapara Yuga. Alright. So, text number 63. The king's residence was surrounded by gardens, wherein there were varieties of trees brought from the heavenly planets. In those trees there were pairs of sweetly singing birds and almost mad bumblebees, which made a very relishable buzzing sound. Now from the description of the palace from inside, we are coming to the outside. 64. There were emerald staircases which led to lakes full of variously colored lotus flowers and lilies, swans, kandavas and other kinds of birds, etc. So now we come out of the palace, and there are the beautiful man-made lakes, there is a beautiful garden, and this was part of the natural opulence. So we have seen some places in India also, like Mysore Palace, but I don't know if they have a lake still. So when I was reading it, one particular place came to my mind where I recently visited in Lithuania. This was a city called Klaipėda. So around 40 minutes drive 30-40 minutes drive of Klaipėda, by the bank of the ocean, there was this huge estate. It's all surrounded by forests, and right in the middle of the forest is huge estate, which is now a part of a public property. People go for a walk and visit, sightseeing. Among this huge estate surrounded by forests and gardens and whatnot, in the middle of it was a beautiful palace. And surrounding this beautiful palace was this man-made lakes. And they were, as of now, there were different kinds of ducks, which you'll often find it like that. And if you look at the palace, the top of the palace was particularly, like gold plated or something. So when the light was falling on it, it was shining like that. So we can see some of resemblance of it, remnants of it even today. So imagine, and for us today it's not possible. But previous generation had it. So when you're talking about this time, how much would have been feasible? It's not something exaggerated, but it's a factual thing like that. Text number 65. The saintly king. So here, Maitri Muni is calling Uttanapada as Raj Rishi. And I have a concern. And I'll share my concern in a short while. Let me just read out. Uttanapado Rajrishi Prabhavam Taniyasyatam Shutva Dashva Adbhutatam Prabhade Vishamayam Param. The saintly king Uttanapad, hearing of the glorious deeds of Dhruv Maharaj and personally seeing also how influential and great he was, felt very satisfied, for Dhruva's activities were wonderful to the supreme degree. So first thing is Shrutva, hearing, Drashtva, seeing, Adbhut Tamam, extremely glorious. So what did Dhruva did which was glorious? What is it being Mathemuni saying? That Uttanapad, seeing and hearing about the glorious activities of Dhruva Maharaj, was greatly pleased. What was the glorious act of Dhruva Maharaj? Yes, Kaushal?
Within 6 months, he was able to
Okay, it was just a short 6 months of time where he got the darshan of the Lord. That's extremely unimaginable, wonderful. Not only that, 6 months having a 5-month-old boy having such a determination that he went to the forest and he performed such a severe austerity. That's so wonderful from the point of view of king. As a Kshatriya, how proud he would be of his son. That how great my son is that he could do that. And that to Prabhupada in one of the purpose he writes, Uttanapad in the beginning he thought he lost his son because who would imagine a 5-year-old boy surviving in a forest? Oh yeah, let me tell you, last night experience. Last night, did you guys imagine something happened? Some of you might have woken up. I also woke up. So suddenly there was a huge gush of wind and there was a heavy rainfall. So I was in the corner room. So there are 2 sides of windows on the other side. I was lying on the floor, something very interesting happened. There was a lot of lightning that was occurring. So when I was already slept, and suddenly the gush of wind came and the whole door swung open and everything was flying here and there. So that time I closed everything. And then when I went to sleep, I said, what? It's a good time to really experience the weather. Experience counts. If I close the windows, then what? I'll just sleep. Regularly, every night I sleep. Why don't I do something? So I slightly opened the side window and there was too much sound. I locked this door from inside because if I keep this door open, what happened before also, the moment the airflow was happening on the other windows, this door will swung open. And the devotees are getting this severe. So I locked the door and then the main, that window or whatever the door, I kind of opened it. And now you can hear the sound of there was a lot of rain. And I went to sleep. And I opened the curtains. And there was so much lightning that was flashing. And my eyes are closed and I can see the lightning flashing on my eyes. And that time I was really remembering myself being part with Krishna and Sudama in the forest. How they would have felt. Think about it. I mean, it was a little terrifying. The lightning flashing on your eyes, just like lightning is happening outside, but the flash of it is coming onto your eyes and you're getting disturbed by it. And the rain is just happening outside and there's a strong gush of wind. Literally, I felt like as I'm on the branch of a tree experiencing this. And that time I was thinking, that beautiful pastime of Krishna and Sudama getting lost in the forest, how difficult it would have been. They were young boys. Of course, Krishna was a teenager and Sudama would have been a teenager at that time. How difficult it would have been in the dark pitch night. And I intentionally kept my eyes closed. When you open your eyes, you're not fearful because you can see. I intentionally kept my eyes closed just to be in a situation thinking that there is nothing around and there is a rain happening and there is lightning happening. It's not so easy to be out in the forest. And Dhruv Maharaj for 6 months, day and night, all alone, where the forest would have gone through all kind of weather. So that is, what you call a Drishtva Adbhutam Tamam, like that. And here is my concern. My concern is Maitreya Muni is calling Uttanapad Rajrishi. Rajrishi means the best of the kings, the saintly king, like that. But my question here is, how can you glorify Uttanapad as a Rajrishi who, when his wife Suruchi was speaking such harsh words towards Dhruva and then towards her sister-in-law Suniti, Uttanapad as a hand-packed husband did not even say anything. And it was the duty of a king and a husband to correct, even if not correct, to tell her enough is enough. He acted such cowardly. Rather, he acted so cruelly that he continued. And if you remember when we discussed that, Suruchi was gaining confidence after confidence when she was observing Uttanapad is not saying. It's not that the first statement she spoke harsh. She indirectly began, and she was looking at Uttanapad, and Uttanapad intentionally was looking at a different direction. Because he didn't want his eyes to meet with the eyes of Suruchi. He didn't want to warn or disturb her in any way. Can we just manage the phones? Well, phone is ringing. What I was saying? So, Uttanapad acted so cowardly, he allowed, according to the law of the nation, if you know of a crime, if let's say a criminal have confessed to you and have told you that he's going to do a crime, and then the law enforcement gets to know that you are aware of the crime, the person has confessed to you, you're also culpable of a crime. You're also party to the crime. So Uttanapad letting Suruchi continue with those kind of a harsh speech and harsh words, to an extent, she went on to say, if you want to sit on the lap of your father, go and commit suicide. I'm paraphrasing. That's what she meant. Go and commit suicide. And if you're blessed by the Lord, you may take birth from my womb. Then you will have the right to sit on the lap of your father. Even then, Uttanapad did not say anything. So how do you justify addressing Uttanapad as Rajrishi? I don't. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on it? Yes, Anshuka. You got the question? Maitreya Muni is calling Uttanapad as Rajrishi. And it seems like, as somebody who can't even perform his kingly duty properly, who can't even perform his duty as a father properly, he betrayed his son. His son was demanding some affection from the father. He could have said, Suruchi, okay, let's talk in private. Why do you speak in front? Nothing he did. He couldn't do his duty as a king, not as a father, and not as a husband. Why? Because she criticized Suniti also. And Suniti has no crime in this. So in 3 relationships, he failed. Why? Just he was too attached to Suruchi. So somebody is so attached, how do you address him as a Rajrishi? How do you reconcile? Any thoughts? Yes, Anshuji.
Just before answering, just a quick question. So, are we sure that whether the Uttanapad was just next to that incident that happened?
Yeah, that's in the Bhagavat. I'm not dreaming about it. What I said is actually from the pages of Bhagavat. You're asking, are we sure?
Because sometimes what we hear that that incident happened between the mother and child. Okay.
That happened between mother and child. Child was holding on to the feet of the father.
Sorry.
Just okay. Anyone would like to rest? Mother, go ahead. Yeah.
So, first of all, he was a saintly king in a way that, he was trained to be a saintly king. That is first thing. And maybe before that, he had not done anything like that. He was always a just king before this incident happened. He was so attached. That is one thing. Because of the attachment, he did like that. But at the end, when he understood his mistake, he again, was feeling guilty for it, and he asked forgiveness and he rectified himself again. For the moment, he was disturbed because of that attachment, and it can happen to anybody like this.
Okay, very nice. What else? Anything else? She's asking online. Anyone online? Are you able to hear devotees hearing online? Are you able to hear the sound of the devotees speaking? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, now sound system is working fine. Yes, please.
So we see in that Bhagavad Gita also, when Arjuna is addressed as Rajarsi or Aryan, Prabhupada writes it's about lineage also. So in which lineage they are coming, and that lineage ensures that they are having that training, or they are having that Guda or Dharma. So in Tanpat's case, he was the son of Swayambhu Manu, the very first king of the whole planet, earthly
Okay,
planets.
so lineage is the reason for being called as Rajas.
So
Fine.
and मतलब ऐसे ही कोई एरा गैरा तो अपॉइंट नहीं कर दिया गया होगा कि
Yeah, so
सब रूल
lineage,
करने के लिए.
that's the whole point.
Yes.
So that's one reason. There was a momentary mistake at his part, and the lineage is the second reason. Anything else, Patrick?
So also we read earlier that after this incident he also was sorry about it and he felt
Okay, he asked for forgiveness. That also happened. So my question to all of you is, if something like this occurs in our community, let's say a devotee or a leader, he apparently makes a mistake. Now this was not a small mistake at the end of Uttanapad. It was extremely grave mistake. So much so that Uttanapad left to literally die from his point of view, from the point of view of every resident of the kingdom, that he ain't gonna come back. Which means your action compelled somebody to commit suicide to that much degree. Understand the extremity of the situation. So if something like this happens around, then how do generally devotees react and how they should be reacting is my question. What do you learn from this incident? And to add to it, I can now add to the incident of Ramayana. Dasharatha Maharaj also acted the same way. Dasharatha Maharaj was also called as a handpicked husband at that point of time. There was Kai. And because of which here Dhruva left, there Ram left. And prior to that, there is no history of Dasharatha Maharaj making any mistake like that. How should we treat Dasharatha Maharaj after that incident? How should we treat Uttanapad after this incident? How should we treat, what should be the conduct or the behavior of a devotee in a devotee community if anyone from the community is found to be culpable like this or a leader is culpable like this? What is the ideal response we learn from here, and how do generally devotees respond? Both the things. Yes. It's open for those who are online also. If you guys want to add in, you can.
Because you gave example of Ramayana, so I can very.
So you have to be very precise. What is the expected response from the devotee? Expected, whatever is the situation, to this degree of extremeness, and how do generally devotees react? These are my two-part questions.
So expected response should be the way Ram reacted. So there is a discussion between Ram and Lakshman in that forest.
Ram is because he is a victim, so we cannot bring the response of a victim here. You are a third party. You are a third party. You have nothing to do with the case. You are a praja. As a praja, how are you supposed to react is the question. Don't bring Dhruva's point of view, don't bring Ram's point of view, because you're going to victim's mentality. How you as a praja should react, and how often we as a praja react. Both the things.
So ideal response, what I expect of a devotee should be that he should be considering it, the main cause is time, because previous there is no incidents and we have not seen such weakness in that personality.
Okay,
so it could be momentarily.
Momentary.
Yes.
So what is the response?
So response would be that okay, let it be, mistake ho jati, galti ho jati, and we should give benefit of doubt, not judging person.
Now, so the response should be benefit of doubt, could be an ideal response. One response is worthy to write down. What response generally do people give, or that includes devotees also? What is the general response that comes? What you have observed?
Picking a small faults and glorifying it, or magnifying it.
Okay, starting prajal par around it. पता है क्या हुआ ना? आपको अंदर की खबर नहीं पता है. हम अंदर की खबर बताते हैं. And you go on munching on it. Okay, yes, Madan.
Prabhuji, generally, whenever something like this happen, a devotee or such a level devotee who is very so advanced and at a very responsible position, if he makes,
we can even generalize it.
Okay, even generalize, ठीक है, छोटा मोटा devotee भी होगा.
Response, and what we can learn from this very important episode, which is of extreme degree.
Yes.
What is expected response from us? That's it.
So generally, किसी भी devotee के साथ अगर ऐसे होता है, if something like this happens, what I feel is that whatever has happened, it is between that devotee and Krishna. You are not the person to judge or to make any comments over here, because maybe that mistake that he did was required for his own purification.
Okay,
So-
very nice. So the point mother is making, one is benefited out. Somebody write down the points, huh? Is worthy to share it on. Benefited out. Second thing is, it's none of my business. It's between him and the Lord.
So we
That's
should be
fine.
compassionate. Our response should be compassionate. Maybe, ठीक है, जो हुआ, I don't know only what has happened because it is between you and the Lord. And generally people do prajalpa only about it. They will start,
So, and the
putting on.
normal response, regular response is gossiping. Okay, what else? An ideal expected response and the ordinary response. Mother Chintamani, please go ahead.
Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, the thing is first, when such an incident happens, most of the things go by hearsay and a lot of masala are added and then passed on. So actually we don't come to know exact truth of what has happened. So in that case, we have no business to pass comments or, further the fire by adding heat to it. And so we should just have a response that, okay, what has happened will be dealt by the authority.
Okay, so precisely our expected response is, let the authorities announce and let us know the right information, rather we here judging and trying to figure out what has happened. Have patience. So Mother Chintamani is focusing on, she's adding an important point, let authorities reveal more detail and then we decide our course of response to it. Very valid. How devotees or people can ordinarily behave? One line answer. Mother?
Yes, Prabhu?
Yeah, so we got your expected response. Do you have anything to add to how do people generally respond to?
Yeah, so the
Ordinarily respond. We are comparing what is in our regular.
the ordinary people will take it as a nice point of discussion and definitely it will go from one person to the other.
Okay, gossiping. So same point, gossiping. Anyone has anything to add to it? Please don't go ahead. Go ahead. Anshu.
Ordinary people sometimes they disconnect and unfollow. Ordinary person sometimes they disconnect directly and unfollow them because they have done some mistakes, so they have disconnected.
Okay, so you
Unfollow.
want to say, so the one ordinary response is they develop perceptions and they stop talking. Okay, it could be both ways. It could be allowed. It could be genuine response also, but it has to come from the authority. If that decision is made by ourselves, then it is too haste. But if that has come from the authority, then it could be well maintain a distance. So it's not necessarily wrong, but it has to be seen who made the decision. I made a decision, or that's a choice of authority for us. Okay, anything else? What could be an expected response, and how do people, devotees, ordinarily react? So the expected response is in the case of the Darshan Maharaj, and all of you again valid points, benefit of doubt, is between Krishna and the devotee, that the authorities decide. I guess the three important points which we should hold on to. We should not let our lower nature surface and take advantage of this opportunity to find masala and add masala to it. We yesterday spoke about Vaishnava Aparad. I'll highlight again and highlight again and again. Lord Narasimhadev is the anger manifestation of Krishna. Varahadev also became angry, but the difference between the anger of Varahadev and Narasimhadev was angry because of Vaishnava Aparad. Prahlad was offended. Varahadev was angry because he was offended. Therefore, nobody could pacify Narasimhadev, even though the Lakshmi failed to do so, except for the victim, the one who was offended, Prahlad Maharaj. So, we have to be careful of these things. These are part of the etiquette, and these are essential skills that, as part of when we are building community, we should be trained and educated in this matter. Otherwise, we take it for so many things for granted, and we take it our birthright to speak about anything and anyone. And because somebody has made one mistake does not mean that he is useless for the rest of his life. It's not that Ruma stop loving the father, or Suniti should stop respecting her husband, or the Praja should say, what kind of king you are. You being a father, you let your son undergo. because of one mistake is not at the end of the road. So we should not become, so the neophyte we are, the most volatile we are, and highly judgmental we are. At the neophyte stage, generally what happens is we expect perfection or nothing. We don't understand that there are gradations of shades. All of us are evolving. It's not that you're going to get any perfection. There's no perfection in this creation. So why people sometimes after coming to Krishna Kasha, they become grumpy? Because when they come to Krishna Kasha, they are expecting perfection and they see perfection from their perspective. Because the people around are far much more sober and elevated as per their condition. But once they have been around and they're able to catch up to a certain degree, then they're able to see the fault. And then their idea of perception breaks. And they think, oh, there's so many faults around. And they go around fault finding. But they miss the whole point. Everyone is on the process of purifying. We should not have this idea of perfection. Therefore, this kind of a silly question is asked, where is the perfect Guru? Where is the perfect Guru? Who is the perfect Guru after Srila Prabhupada? Who is that who can take us back? The idea of taking us back to Godhead, where it is written, like is the duty of the spiritual master. It is the obligation of the spiritual master. But what takes you back is not the Guru takes you back. Antakale cha mameva smaran mukta kalevaram. The duty of the Guru is to help you, to train you to remember Krishna. It is not the Guru of the duty. It is not the duty of the Guru. When you're dying, he'll be standing by your bedside, holding your hand. Jaldi mar, jo Vaikuntha leke jana hai. This is nonsensical. I don't know when people get this ridiculous ideas. Where it is said in philosophy? Bhagavad Gita itself says. What did Krishna says? In the same Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, Krishna says, Tadvadi Pranipatana. He established the principle of Parampara. He established how important Guru is. So when it is asked, how do you come back to me? What does he say? Antakale chamameva smaranukta kalevanam. Therefore, in Parampara, more than Diksha, Shiksha is important. Which again, neophytes don't get it ever. Diksha, oh, my Guru, and you never get a chance to speak to Guru. You never hear the lecture of a Guru, my Guru, my Guru. When Guru comes, you come, show yourself, and then you're out of the temple for the rest of the time. This is lack of training and lack of understanding. Antakale chamameva smaranukta kalevanam. The duty of Guru is to train us to remember Krishna all through our life. So that whenever that incident has to happen, what is called as death, we're able to remember. And that is a function of Guru. And that can be performed by Diksha Guru, that can be performed by Shiksha Guru. Therefore, line, you look at the whole Parampara, it doesn't emphasize on Diksha. It largely emphasizes on Shiksha. But that's the whole thing. And you're fortunate in one way if your Diksha Shiksha has happened from one. But in ISKCON, as being a worldwide movement, our main Shiksha Guru is Srila Prabhupada. And that's a very sad part of the story. People don't hear from Prabhupada. Like you made this point. Alright, rest of the week, neophytes are giving class. But at least once a week, Srila Prabhupada is giving class. If now you accept Srila Prabhupada as a founder Acharya, as a main Shiksha Guru, why can't you come and attend the lecture given by Srila Prabhupada? Once a week, if you're part of the Hinjawadi community, we're part of NDCC community, wherever your community, every temple would have once a week Prabhupada lecture. For you, everyone else is neophyte except for your Guru. Only your Guru is there and you will hear only now no one else except for your Guru. Then at least come and hear Prabhupada lecture, na? You cannot hear Prabhupada lecture also. No, I hear in my own time. So what's the idea of the Vaishnava Sangha then? It's completely misalignments, and this whole online education have further caused that. Anyways, I'll be taking up these things soon in some meeting I plan to conduct. So these are some of the points. So, very important thing. Neither Dhruva criticized, nor the citizens complain, nor the Suniti is saying, and even Maitreya Muni is not saying. He's calling Uttanapada as Rajrishi. Because nobody is free from faults. Mistakes happen. And depending on what level mistake, appropriate action is taken, and eventually they're reinstated back into their position. So that's what happens. Somebody have done something, so maybe they may be temporarily removed from their position or whatnot, but that is always temporary. If they are situated into their devotional practice, after a few weeks, 2 months, 2 years, they'll be reinstated. And when they're reinstated, and now you look at them, कितना गिराव आदमी है, ऐसा कैसे कर सकता है? Such a serious offense. It's got none of your business. It was something between him, Guru, and Krishna. Why are you? You don't want to take an association. offer respects, walk away. But at least don't say things like that. If you're thinking like this, saying would happen soon enough. And if you are into that state, you really need to get yourself tested properly. Whoever we are in that situation is a very dangerous situation. Something is wrong with our learning of Krishna consciousness. Anyway, that was just a point to highlight here. Then eventually, Uttanapad decides to quit, and Prabhupada says, so, Maitreya Muni called Uttanapad as Rajrishi because that is the nature of Rajrishi. He was not attached to the worldly opulence. Yet, so this is what happens here. Text number 67, Uttanapad went to the forest, text, not chapter 10. Chapter 10 begins with Maitreya Muni talking about the marriage of Dhruva Maharaj. So, text number 1 translation. The great sage Maitreya said, my dear Vidura, thereafter Dhruva Maharaj married the daughter of Prajapati Shishumar, whose name was Brahmi, and 2 sons named Kalpa Vasra were born of her. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, very important point. It seems Uttanapad left the kingdom even before his son got married. And then Prabhupada says, this is the reason why Maitreya Muni called him Rajrishi. He was so eager for self-realization, he did not even wait. Actually, getting the son married is a very important yajna, son or daughter married. And it's a very joyous occasion for the father. What to speak of a king, and what to speak of king like Uttanapad who had a son like Dhruva. Can you imagine how much joyful even would be to get Dhruva, the great devotee of the Lord, married? Uttanapad did not even wait for it. He said things will happen, and therefore Prabhupada writes, that's the reason Maitreya Muni calls him as a Rajrishi, because he was very serious about his self-realization. He did the needful responsibility and move forward. Something for all of us to reflect in our in the application of this in our life, for how serious we should be for self-realization while performing our worldly duties. Text number 2 mentions about Dhruva's second marriage. He got married to 2 ladies. One was known as Brahmi, the second was known as Ila, and the sons have been described. Text number 3 mentions about how Dhruva's younger brother Uttama was not yet married. He went on a hunting excursion and he was killed in the forest by Yaksha. And when Madan Sundar got to know of it, she followed behind and she also died, as Lord had already foretold this event. When Dhruva got to know text number 4, he became extremely angry and he decided to find the culprits and punish. He got to know text number 5 that was done by the followers of Kuvera, whose capital is Alkapuri. They are known as Yakshas. They are a class of demonic. They're one of the classes of demonic class in that way, Yakshas. So he decided they're said to be followers of Lord Shiva. So Dhruva decided to attack Alkapuri. Text number 6. He reached to the boundary of Alkapuri. He blew his conch, which literally threatened everyone in the capital. Text number 7. When the Yakshas heard the sound of the conch, understanding this was a declaration of the war, first they were frightened, and then, because they were Kshatriyas also, they became joyful for the opportunity to fight. So they all assembled and came to fight. Text number 8, the great fight began. Text number 9, and Dhruva fought so chivalrously, shooting arrows that the heads of Yaksha soldiers were flying hither and thither. Text number 10, just like serpents who cannot tolerate being trampled upon by animals' feet, the Yakshas, being intolerant of the wonderful prowess of Dhruva Maharaj, threw twice as many arrows. So fierce fight began to happen. Almost 130,000 Yaksha soldiers, covered with all kind of weapons, had attacked Dhruva, who was fighting all alone single-handedly. Such was the valor of Dhruva Maharaj. And at one point in time, text number 13, Dhruva Maharaj was completely covered by the incessant shower of weapons, and Maitreya Muni compares it with just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall. Very beautiful analogy and important subject here. So it appeared as if Dhruva Maharaj is now faced with an unsurmountable challenge. He is 360 degrees surrounded by the arrows. There is no way of survival. And Maitreya says his situation was like that of a forest or mountain, which has been showered incessantly with the rainfall. But what happens? Why Maitreya Muni is drawing this analogy? When there's a rainfall on the forest, when there's a rainfall on the mountain, Then all the impurities, all the dirt goes away and the mountain becomes fresh. Similarly, he's saying, so whatever deficiency or limitation was there in Dhruva's fighting, one of the greatest is laziness. Whatever was there, because of this challenging situation, Dhruva became more fierce. And here's the point I wanted to highlight. Similarly, challenges in our life, for us, is given by Krishna. Set it up, that's all. Don't have karma and all that in the picture. For us, if you're practicing and if you are part of the Guru Parampara system, the challenges in our life is a reminder from Krishna. Wake up and become firm. Somewhere, somehow, we have become lazy or disoriented. Don't become further disoriented by thinking, oh, what's going to happen? Rather, it's an occasion for us to rise up and face the challenge. And that's how Dhruva faced it. Text number 14, again another analogy is given. Dhruva was drowned in an ocean of weapons. Like this, text number 15. The Yakshas, being temporarily victorious, exclaimed that they had conquered Dhruva. But in the meantime, Dhruva's chariot suddenly appeared, just as the sun suddenly appears from within, fogging the ship. Few verses here, Maitreya Muni is giving a beautiful analogy to compare what is actually happening on the battlefield. And Dhruva re-emerged and began to fight, and he defeated, and through his sharp arrows, he chopped off the limbs of Yakshas. By text number 19, the Yakshas were totally defeated, and the remaining Yakshas began to flee. Text number 21. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in the great battlefield, not one of the opposing soldiers were left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alkapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic Yakshas. In the meantime, when Dhruva Maharaj, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there. They found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. So what happened now? The Yakshas, understanding that they cannot have a straightforward fight with Dhruva, we got to use some mystics here. And now they started using illusion. There's something similar of a fight that we undergo every day with Maya. The fight, the challenge that Dhruva is faced now is with Yakshas is the same that we are facing every day with the illusions of Maya. And it's very important how Dhruva defeated the illusion, because at one point of time, Dhruva was disheartened. Dhruva felt, oh, how do I deal with it? And that's the whole discussion. In text number 24, my dear faultless Vidura, in that rainfall there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine, marrow falling heavily before Dhruva Maharaj. And there were trunks of bodies falling from the sky, text number 25. A great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions hailstones fell along with lances, clubs, swords, iron, and great pieces of stones. And this is a whole description of the different illusions. Text number 28. The demon Yakshas are by nature very heinous, and by the demonic power of illusion, they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. Text number 29. When the great sages heard that Dhruva Maharaj was overpowered by the illusory mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. This is the role of a sadhu in our life. Whenever we are tricked by Maya, the question is when we are not. We are mostly all the time tricked by Maya. So here is this is a very important segment. Dhruva, despite being the pure devotee of the Lord, being the best of the rulers, so powerful that he single-handedly fought with 130,000 warriors. It seems Rama had a smaller army to fight with as Dhruva. He had 24,000, those the soldiers, Karadushan army. He had 130,000. It's more than 5 times. Such a powerful personality, yet given to illusion. And who helped him to come out of the illusion? The sadhus. This is where Pradviti Pranipatena Shloka comes into action. Don't think and consider because I've got initiated, because I've done Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, illusion is not going to touch me. As long as we are in this world, there's going to be a constant tug of war between the truth and the falsehood, between the reality versus illusion. And time and again in our situation, we may find ourselves getting overcome by that illusion. Then who is the helping hand? We have to ask ourselves, who is the helping hand for me? If you already consider that I'm so learned, I know everything, then there is a question of asking anyone for help. And even if somebody sees you in trouble, would the other person be willing to really extend help? If we don't have certain qualities, so let me ask this question to all of you. If you have to guide somebody, take care of that responsibility, say, I'm going to take care of you. What qualities would you expect in that person? What kind of conduct and behavior would you expect? Go one by one. Write down. This is again a very important thing, helpful thing. So Anshul Prabhu says obedient. What do you mean by obedient?
Whatever he speaks and does, it is aligning to what he says, and he performs.
What are you talking? What is obedient means? You're talking about integrity. You said obedient.
Sincere.
You said the student should be obedient.
Sincere.
What does it mean, obedient?
Sincere and sincere.
You're changing the definition. What is obedient means? Obedient means whatever is told, he follows. That is obedient. Okay, obedient. What else? Define your adjectives that he used. Mother Chintamani says trustworthy. So trustworthy, I would say he should have trust on you. That you're capable enough to help him. Only then he will become obedient. So he should have trust on the teacher. He should be obedient to qualities. What else would you expect? So that person should be humble. Therefore he is willing to follow. Okay, willing to listen to you. What else? My question is, to whom would you like to offer guidance?
To ask a question.
Who is willing to open ask a question? Again, humility. Who is willing to, I would say not willing to ask a question. There are a lot of people who will ask questions. Who is willing to confidentially share his or her heart. That would require guidance. That would inspire guidance. Question पूछने वाले तो बहुत लोग हैं. Public class अगर लोग question पूछेंगे तो main thing is he is willing to open. He is willing to share what he would not do it otherwise with others.
Prabhuji,
Then
one
it gives you
question
the
I
right.
have.
We'll finish this. We'll come to your
This
question.
is related to this question.
But let's finish this.
Okay.
Come to your question.
Fine.
What else is needed? What else would you expect? What would you want from that student? He should be willing to follow, willing to listen, and willing to share, have faith on you. What else? Yes, Vishwamapur.
Work on the advice.
Same thing, na? Willing to follow. Work on the advice, willing to follow. What else? Madan Sundar says openness. Accountable. There has to be other. Without accountability, how do you know he's following something or she's following? Accountability. What else? कभी सोचा नहीं इस विषय में? Let me complete my question.
Gratefulness.
He should be grateful. He should be grateful. Okay, gratitude. I would say, gratitude. Gratitude. Anything else? Yes, Abu Bakr. Willing to accept feedback. Feedback. Okay. So willing to accept feedback. Very nice. Please write down important points. Anything else? Now, the second part of it, I'll come to you. Please reflect how much do you have this in your relationship with your mentors or guides? How much do you have these in your relationship with your seniors? We can now understand why we get guidance or why we don't get guidance. And if we have these things, the other person is willing to, whatever we would require, even if you don't ask, come to you to help you out. And because if we don't have these, even if we ask, the person is probably not willing to be straightforward and factual to you because he or she fears they are not willing to accept the truth. So this is what establishes Tadvati Paripatena Paripashnena Shloka. Just going through the formal process of initiation and all that is more of a ritual. But this is what is the most important thing. And to whoever you can do it, that becomes that person who helps you, trains you to remember Krishna. And that becomes the most important person in your life. For that reason, it may not be only one, but at least for the time being, that becomes the most important. So here concluding and coming back to your question. So to fight the delusion, even Dhruva Maharaj needed the help of sadhus. Similarly, for all of us, we also need help of sadhus to fight with illusion. And what did sadhus did? Text number 30. All the sages said, Dear Dhruva, son of King Uttanapad, may the Supreme Personality Godhead known as Sharanga Dhanva, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus, a devotee said, what did the sadhus do? They came and reminded him of the Lord and encouraged him to take shelter of the holy names of the Lord. So, what we're talking about, what's the role of sadhu? To help us and train us in remembering Krishna. And that's how Guru Maharaj, in the next chapter, will see how he took shelter of the holy names. And because the strength of the holy names of the Lord, all the illusions dispelled or removed. We'll continue with chapter number 11 on Monday when we catch up. Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. We can open the questions now. Madan? Yeah.
Okay, Prabhuji, you were asking question as to what should be the qualities of the person you give guidance to, right?
You're willing to give guidance.
Yeah. So the point is, Prabhuji, is it not that anyone comes to you, you just give that guidance and leave it up to him whether he wants to accept it or not? Why should we be concerned of what qualities he or she has?
Okay. So then why does Krishna say Tadvidi Paripadena Pariprashnena Sevaya? Why does he emphasize on Sevaya component? Come and ask question and go away. Krishna could have said Tadvidi Paripadena, sit near, Pariprashnena. That's it. Then why did Krishna say about Sevaya?
For the person who wants to take it seriously, he will do seva also.
No,
So that he wants to advance, he will do the seva.
Not he will do. If you want that inquiry to make a difference into your life, seva is an integral part of it. If the person tells you something, but if you are not doing seva, it will just not make a difference. First thing. Second thing, you ask a question. I or anyone for that reason is not obliged to answer you. It is my right to answer or not answer or not to answer. And and what is one thing for which I am obliged to answer is when I see you have a service attitude. Ramanujacharya sent one of his disciples to ask a particular question to another guru. His godfather kind of a thing. He went and asked him a question. He said, well, go to the kitchen, wash pots, and answer a question. He made him work in the kitchen for 6 months. After that, he finally said, in fact, he didn't say, the guru called him, all right, I have seen your service attitude, now you can ask me a question. This is the understanding and agreement. It is not that anyone asks a question and speaker is obliged. Not obliged. What is the qualification that the student should have which will impel the speaker to answer is seva. Otherwise, why would Krishna? It's not like that you do seva or not. If you are sincere, you will do seva. And no, this is the condition Krishna puts. Tat vidhi panipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Now, Krishna have included the word seva in this very important verse. It has to be, that's the whole point.
So, if someone comes for guidance or someone comes to ask a question, so
see, there's a huge difference. Somebody asking a question, somebody is taking a guidance. Somebody is taking a guidance is not a one-time event. It's an ongoing guidance. When Arjuna said, my dear Lord, I accept you as my guru, it's not that only on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So you have to make a distinction between somebody asking a question once and somebody is willing to accept you as a teacher. Somebody is asking a question once is altogether a different thing, but that's not the verse what Tadvidi Pranipatena is saying. Tadvidi Pranipatena is describing what it means to accept a guru. Arjuna said, I accept you as a teacher. Now in this verse, Krishna is saying what it means to accept a guru. So when you're accepting somebody as a teacher, what is the condition for that?
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you.
That's a distinction over there. Fine. Anything else? Okay. So happy weekend. We'll catch up on Monday morning. And Saturday morning, if my time permits today, we'll do the second part of travel log and some experiences. So if I have time, I'll inform Prajanipu, he'll announce it early. So we'll have Saturday morning. Yes, yeah, go ahead.
I had one is that this question of opening your heart to somebody. Now, whoever it is, it happens to have senior. So you cannot ask any questions like that. Now, how far is the confidentiality maintained by the senior?
So that senior needs to be trained in that aspect. See, there has to be a training for junior, there has to be a training for the senior. Everyone needs to be trained up. And the confidentiality by all costs, by all means, have to be maintained. And this was one of the subject matter for which I was traveling across Europe, teaching the leaders about how to perform their responsibility, importance of confidentiality and things like that. So it has to be maintained at all costs. It's a sorry state of affairs if in case somebody is not trained up in that regard and he breaks the confidentiality. And I can tell you, the person would often break the confidentiality if is not trained up in that role. So we all are learning, we all are students, we all need training. So some things could have gone wrong in the past, but somebody have received the training, have understood how to act, then that relationship can be taken up in that light. Okay? Go ahead. No, there's a door open and there's a lot of construction sound coming in. Go ahead.
The two reasons were, one is for reformation of the living entity, the second is to allow them to enjoy, because they wanted to enjoy, separate from Krishna. Now, when this was the basic thing that was arranged, that one, certain living entities will go for reformation and some will have a good time. But why is
who has a good time and where is it mentioned? Yeah, and as such, the definition of this world being created is not for them to enjoy, it's just to allow them to fulfill their desire. The purpose of this creation is two things: punishment and purification. We have kleshas, birth, death, old age, disease, that's for part of punishment. And the six anathas, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mohammed, Matsarya, that's a part of purification. So that is what the world is designed for. In between, under the influence of illusion, we may think, I'm enjoying. But the world is not for enjoyment. The world is only for punishment and purification.
Okay, so it's not for it. And another thing that Prabhuji, that I was thinking from today's chapter is that from Guru Maharaj's everything, it's not that we have to tolerate everything and even Mahaprabhu said that. But in Gita, Arjun wanted to do the same thing. But Lord said, no, they have made a mistake, they should be punished. Like even for the case of Brahmacharya's son, this one,
Ashwatthama.
forgave him. But then Lord said, no, this punishment because he has done wrong. So, like, how do you make a difference when to have a tolerate everything? One thing is tolerate it, and another thing is.
So whenever we are confused, because it's a very subjective question, all of us may be in a different situation that may cause confusion. It's better to work under the guidance when such a situation arises, which is a critical situation. We, as an individuals, can always discuss with our seniors and make a decision. It's difficult to generalize that response now on what situation, what parameter one should forgive or one should let go. For example, Draupadi forgiving Ashwatthama, Prabhupada in the beginning purpose criticizes Draupadi for her womanly nature, being more sentimental and emotional. And then later on, Prabhupada says Draupadi being a pure devotee of the Lord, therefore she would forgive. And then again in the next chapter, Prabhupada says, because Draupadi forgive, therefore he again shot Brahmasa to the Mahaputra. So, okay, for such things, work in guidance. That's the answer. Alright, Mother? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.